When you get the script like this, and you know, as an actor, it's kind of, I'm sure you kind of imagine what you can do and stuff, but like, what was your take on this immediately, and did you have to change anything as like the filming kind of began?
Well, my take was, I mean, the good news for us was that we had the script for 7 years before we shot, so we had a lot of time to think about it. But this tone that Steven struck, this kind of satirical tone, is very tough to do, and it requires a director who's really got his eye on the ball the whole time. And so there were definitely things that where I would do a scene the way I'd thought of doing it, and I was in the wrong movie. And he would say that. He would come up and he'd say, you know, for the courtroom scene where I apologized to the whole community, that's a transcript of what Mark Whitaker actually said, and it's a very heartfelt apology, and I did it like that. And Steven came up and he just said, no. And I went, well, no, that was honest. What do you mean? And he said, no, it was good. He said, it's just in the wrong movie. You know, if we'd done the kind of straight version of the movie, that was it. But I want you to do it like an awards acceptance speech. And so that was my direction. So there were brilliant kind of moments of direction like that for all of us performers in the movie that really kind of kept us on the right path.
But there is also like a fine line where you know, at some points, you have to be careful about you're not making fun of this. It's a real person. So
yeah.
So how do you kind of, you know, make sure that it's not a mockery of a person?
Oh, it was never intended to be a mockery. I mean, it's just that the situation itself was so absurd, you know, and grew more and more absurd, that to not acknowledge that in a way would have been, you know, it was one thing reading the novel, which is great. It's a great book, but my jaw was on the floor. I couldn't believe, because the structure that Eichenwald took in the in the novel was to kind of unroll this, which is basically what happened to the FBI guys. They assumed one thing about Whitaker, and then over the course of time, as they'd invested a big part of their professional careers in this case, suddenly they started to realize, you know, like pull on a thread, and suddenly the whole thing started coming apart. And so that's kind of the same structure of the movie, and that's kind of the trick to the audience, is you have this narrator, you trust him, you think he's your guy, and then you realize, oh my God, my narrator's totally unreliable. He's lying to me.
Well, we were trying to do the description. Is he pathological or a sociopath? Or is that the same thing? What is your breakdown of Mark?
I think he's, there was a certain pathology to his lying, because his lying started, you know, but I think it was a byproduct of his he was sick. He was unstable at that time, and it's something that he's come out of now, and he's healthy, and he's working again. He's a president of a company, and he's, you know, it's a success story in real life. It's great, but at that time, I mean, even he has referred to his quotes of his as that was a crazy time, and so the case itself and all the pressures brought to bear on him did nothing but exacerbate his condition. So he was deteriorating during the case.
I have to ask then, while you're preparing for this role, physically, you know, obviously you got to eat and do all this kind of, is it interesting to be able to, because, you know, actors, you have to look a certain part, and so here you are in an opportunity to look as schlubby as you can, and so that must be, is it freeing, or what's...
Totally, and really fun, and really, and it's also, you know, most actors have to factor in gym time at the end of every day, which is a pain in the ass, and you have to, you know, do it usually, you know, if I'm playing Jason Bourne or something, I really have to do it, and it was really nice to just factor in couch potato time and sit and, you know, eat pizza, or whatever I wanted, and drink dark beer and sit and just work on the script and think about the scenes, and it was really fun.
But the body doesn't recover as much as you get older. So how did you get back into the shape that, you know, was that hard work for you?
It was hard to get back into shape, but I think also our bodies tend to kind of choose a weight that feels appropriate, and so I was over the weight that my body, I think, is comfortable. So, I mean, for me to lose 30 pounds from here would be very, very difficult. But it's easier if I go up 30 pounds and come back.
It's the same for all of us. Thank you very much. Thanks for talking to you.